They thought they could scare me. They thought they could bully me into submission with threats, fake fines, and an orange slip of paper nailed right into the wood my wife and I painted together with our bare hands. Image prompt. They sent a demolition crew to tear down my home, the cabin my late wife and I built, board by board, memory by memory, and they did it all under the smug supervision of a power-tripping HOA president who thought she'd just scored herself a free lakefront property. But what she didn't know was that my family isn't just any family. While her hired crew was tearing down walls, while she was smiling at the destruction she thought she'd orchestrated, my kids, every single one of them federal agents, were already on their way. And when a corrupt HOA that's been breaking the law for years suddenly targets the wrong man, the wrong home, and the wrong family, well, that's when the game changes. Before I get into it, drop a comment below with where you're watching from, because this story of revenge, of justice, and of what happens when greed runs into the law, is one you're going to want to remember. The morning it all started, the lake was exactly how I liked it. Still. Quiet. A cool mist clung to the surface, stretching like a silver blanket over the water. The world was hushed, calm, almost sacred. At 68 years old, these quiet mornings had become the rhythm of my life, a rhythm I thought nothing could disturb. I stepped out onto the dock with my coffee, the strong kind I grind myself, and felt the warmth seep into my hands. The boards beneath my slippers were damp from the night's dew. The only sound was the gentle lap of the lake against the pilings. This wasn't just a house behind me. It was home. My wife Sarah and I built this cabin with our own two hands. The boathouse, the porch, even the old oak table inside where my kids used to sit and draw when they were little, we built it all. Every beam carried her laughter, every nail held a memory. That morning should have been like any other. But halfway through my coffee, something caught my eye. A bright flash of orange. There, tacked to the boathouse door. It looked so wrong against the calm gray mist, like a warning flare. I walked over, my stomach tightening with each step. This wasn't tape. It wasn't even pinned gently. It was nailed. A thick iron nail driven straight into the wood Sarah and I painted together years ago. I yanked it out, leaving behind an ugly hole. The paper was some kind of notice. At the top, in bold, official-looking letters, it read, Lakeside Pines Homeowners Association. My first thought? Impossible. I wasn't part of any HOA. My land, bought by my grandfather back in 1962, sat half a mile away from the neatly trimmed lawns and cookie-cutter homes of Lakeside Pines. Their rules, their fees, their committees, none of it applied to me. But then I read further. Final notice. Unpaid HOA dues. Demolition scheduled. The amount listed, $11,740.26. T had a list of violations: unapproved siding color, non-compliant dock maintenance, improper landscaping. They were talking about my dock. The same dock I had personally replanked last summer. And then, at the very bottom, in bold letters that made my stomach sink, deadline, 3 days. Failure to comply will result in demolition. I just stood there, stunned. Demolition? My boathouse? My cabin? For not paying HOA dues to an organization I wasn't even a part of? At first, I wasn't angry. Just confused. This had to be a clerical mistake. A typo. Somebody in some HOA office must have clicked the wrong parcel number. Happens all the time, right? I went inside, set the paper down on the counter, and dialed the number listed for the HOA secretary. She answered on the second ring. Lakeside Pines, this is Mara, how can I help you? Her voice was smooth. Too smooth. The kind of voice that sounded sweet but was hiding a sharp edge. I explained politely, ma'am, I think there's been a mistake. My property isn't part of your association. She made a little tooting noise, like I was some child who had misplaced his homework. Oh, Mr. Weller. Yes, I see your file right here. It looks like you're quite a bit behind on your dues. There are no dues, I said, trying to keep calm. My property line is outside your jurisdiction. I have the deed and county plat maps to prove it. She gave a long, fake sigh, the kind people practice to sound patient when they're anything but. Well, our records show that your parcel was annexed 6 weeks ago following a community vote. I'm sure you received the paperwork. But don't you worry, she said, her tone dropping to this fake reassuring coo. I'll flag it as a clerical mix-up. It'll all be sorted before any crew is scheduled to arrive. Her words were meant to calm me down. But the way she said, community vote, and annexed, made my stomach twist. It sounded rehearsed. Slippery. Still, she had promised to fix it. And I wanted to believe her. So, I thanked her, hung up, and told myself the system would work. That morning, I still believed mistakes could be corrected. But the next day, I would learn just how wrong I was. The very next morning, the lake didn't feel calm anymore. The mist was gone, replaced by a hard, glaring sun that made the world look harsher. I was grinding my coffee beans when I heard it. The sound that would change everything. A deep, mechanical growl. The rumble of a heavy engine. Then the crunch of tires on my gravel driveway. It wasn't the sound of a neighbor's pickup truck. It was heavier, deeper, almost predatory. I walked to the window, and when I looked out, my heart sank. Parked right at the edge of my drive was a massive dual-axle flatbed truck. And sitting on it like some sleeping beast was a bright yellow backhoe. Its hydraulic arm folded tight like a claw waiting to strike. A man climbed down from the cab. Big, broad, in a neon-reflective vest and hard hat. His face was worn, rough, the kind of face that had seen too many hard jobs. He carried a clipboard, but his walk was all business. I stepped out onto the porch as he approached. "Can I help you?" I asked, keeping my voice calm. He didn't even meet my eyes at first. Just pointed a thick finger at the cabin behind me. "Tom Weller?" "I am," I said. He nodded. "Name's Ted. Foreman with Kruger Demolition. Got a work order here to take down that boathouse." He tapped the clipboard. "And if the site ain't cleared, we move on to the main cabin." For a moment, the world tilted. His words hit harder than the diesel fumes drifting from his truck. "There's been a mistake," I said firmly. "I called your HOA secretary yesterday. She assured me it was being corrected." Ted finally looked at me. His eyes weren't cruel, just tired. The eyes of a man who knew he was a tool in somebody else's game. "Mister, I don't know anything about that. All I know is we got orders. She told us to be here at sunup. The order says either you hand me a certified check for 12 grand, he jerked a thumb toward the machine on the truck, or that backhoe starts tearing down your place." That backhoe sat there like a predator, waiting for the signal. For a long second, I couldn't speak. My wife's laughter, the years of sweat and work we'd put into this home, all of it flickered through my head, threatened by this stranger with a clipboard and a machine that could reduce it to splinters in minutes. Arguing with Ted was useless. He wasn't the enemy. He was just a tool. The real enemy was sitting comfortably in some HOA office, probably smiling, probably waiting for me to panic. I gave him a slow nod. "All right," I said, forcing my voice steady. "Let me make a phone call." I turned, walked back into the house, and locked the door behind me. The click of the deadbolt was louder than it should have been. My hands trembled slightly. I needed someone who didn't just believe in the system, someone who was the system. So, I called my oldest daughter. "Dana." She picked up on the first ring. "Dad, you okay?" Her voice was sharp, clear, the kind of tone you'd expect from someone trained to stay calm in a crisis. I explained everything, the orange notice, the smooth-talking woman named Mara, the backhoe now parked 20 feet from my porch. I tried to keep my voice even, but she heard the strain anyway. She didn't interrupt. She just listened. When I finished, there was a pause. Then her voice changed. It wasn't just Dana, my little girl, speaking anymore. It was Special Agent Weller. "Dad, listen carefully," she said, every word clipped and deliberate. "Do not go back outside. Don't talk to the foreman. Don't say another word. Do you understand?" "I do," I said quietly. "Good. Now here's what you do. Go to every window in the house. Take photos. Get the truck. Get the backhoe. Get the license plates. If you can, get a shot of the foreman. Then go to your file cabinet. Pull the deed, the last property tax bill, and the survey from when you built the boathouse. Photograph every page. Date and time visible. Do not skip anything." Her instructions came like a checklist. I was a retired electrician, I knew checklists. "Yes," I said firmly. "Then," she continued, "you're going to drive to the county clerk's office. Ask for a certified copy of the current plat map. Pay whatever it costs. That piece of paper is your shield. I'll handle the rest from my end. I love you, Dad. Now do it." And then the line went dead. The call couldn't have lasted more than 3 minutes. But in that time, my fear had been replaced with focus. I had a mission now. So I followed her instructions to the letter. I crept from window to window, photographing the truck, zooming in on the license plates until every number was crystal clear. I snapped a shot of the foreman too, leaning against his truck, cigarette in hand, looking like a man bored but waiting for orders. Then I went to the old metal file cabinet in my study. Inside was a folder labeled simply, House. I laid the papers out on the kitchen table. My grandfather's original deed from 1962. The updated deed in my name. The official county survey, its lines bold and undeniable, showing my property ending hundreds of yards away from the HOA's border. I photographed every single page. Timestamped. Documented. And then, with my phone buzzing from Dana's follow-up messages, I drove downtown. The county clerk's building was old, red-bricked, the kind of place that smelled of floor wax and paper dust. At the records counter, a young woman with tired eyes listened as I gave her my parcel number. She typed, clicked, swiveled her monitor toward me. "This one here?" she asked. I leaned in. And there it was, my little square of land, outlined in black, sitting proudly outside the thick border of the Lakeside Pines HOA. Relief washed through me like a tide. "Yes," I said, nodding. "That's it. I need a certified copy." She printed it, stamped it with a heavy clunk, signed it, and pressed a seal into the corner. It wasn't just paper anymore. It was armor. I drove home with that map sitting on the passenger seat like a trophy. Like proof that truth was on my side. But as I pulled into my driveway, my phone rang again. Dana's voice was grim. "Dad, this isn't a mistake. This is a target." My grip tightened on the wheel. "What do you mean?" She took a breath. "I ran a background check on your HOA president, Mara Jansen. This isn't her first time. In the last 5 years, she's filed altered property maps in at least 2 other counties. She finds a property she wants, usually lakefront, then files a new map where the boundary line has mysteriously shifted. 6 weeks ago, she filed one for your area. The community vote. The annexation. It was all a forgery. She's a predator, Dad," Dana said flatly. "And now she's coming for you." As I turned onto my gravel road, I saw it. The demolition truck was gone. The foreman, the backhoe, vanished. For a brief second, I thought maybe my trip to the clerk's office had worked. Maybe the truth had scared them off. But then I looked closer. A man stood half hidden by a tree across the road. Collared shirt. Lakeside Pines logo embroidered on the chest. And in his hands? A camera. The lens pointed straight at my cabin. At my windows. He was documenting violations. And in that moment, I knew Dana was right. This wasn't an error. This was a siege. And I was the target. I pulled into my driveway, that certified plat map still glowing in my mind like a lifeline. But the sight of that man with the camera, that HOA lackey, erased any sense of relief I'd felt. He wasn't even subtle. Just standing there, lens pointed at my cabin, clicking shot after shot like a vulture waiting for roadkill. I got out of the truck slowly. Didn't say a word. Didn't give him the satisfaction of a confrontation. I just walked inside, locked the door, and set the plat map on the table. The game had changed. This wasn't about a community vote or some clerical error. This was a war. And Mara Jansen, queen of the HOA, had just fired the first shot. The siege begins. By late afternoon, I heard the rumble of another truck. This time it wasn't demolition equipment. It was a roll-off dumpster. Bright orange. Dropped right at the end of my drive with a thunderous clang that rattled my windows. An HOA waste management directive, no doubt. I knew what they were doing. It was intimidation, planting their flag, daring me to react. And they didn't stop there. By evening, a second dumpster appeared. Then a third. Within 24 hours, my little gravel road looked like a construction site. Massive steel bins, empty for now, but sitting there like silent threats. I could feel eyes on me every time I stepped outside. Cars slowed as they passed. A woman with a clipboard pretended to walk her dog past my property 3 times in an hour. The message was clear: we're watching you. We own this road. We own you. But they were wrong. Because I wasn't alone anymore. Reinforcements. My phone buzzed at 6:15 the next morning. "Dad, we're on the way." It was Dana. And she wasn't coming alone. 2 hours later, my driveway filled with vehicles. My kids. My son-in-law. Even my youngest, fresh out of college, showing up with nothing but determination in his eyes. They spilled out with backpacks, laptops, cameras. Not weapons, information. Documentation. The new battlefield. Dana hugged me hard, then pulled out her phone. "We're setting up a perimeter. You stay calm. We'll handle the rest." She handed me a cup of coffee like this was just another family weekend at the lake. But her eyes were sharp, calculating. That's when I realized, this wasn't just about saving a cabin anymore. It was about drawing a line. And my family was ready to fight. For the next 48 hours, we worked like a covert unit. My son-in-law set up motion-activated cameras in the trees. Every angle of the property now recorded, backed up online in real time. My youngest combed through county GIS records, overlaying maps until the fraud stood out like neon paint. And Dana, my fearless agent, began building a case. She pulled every string she had. She called the county recorder, the sheriff's department, even a contact at the state attorney's office. Her voice never wavered, every word tight and professional. Meanwhile, the HOA escalated. Letters appeared in my mailbox, typed in cold legal jargon, threatening daily fines for non-compliance. One even claimed they'd revoke my lake access if I didn't remediate the unlawful structure. The kicker? They weren't even sending these letters through certified mail. Just stuffed into my box like junk flyers. Amateur hour. Dana smiled when she saw them. Every one of these goes into evidence, she said, sliding them into a folder. They're hanging themselves, Dad. On the third morning, Mara herself showed up. Black SUV. Designer sunglasses. Clipboard in hand like some twisted scepter. She stepped out, heels crunching on my gravel drive, and scanned the cabin like she already owned it. Well, she said, voice sweet but dripping with venom, I see you've gathered reinforcements. My kid stood behind me, silent, arms crossed. Cameras rolling. Mara tilted her head, that practiced smile never faltering. You know, Tom, this really doesn't need to be so difficult. If you just signed the annexation agreement, none of this. Dana cut her off. Funny you mention that. Because the annexation you filed with the county? The one conveniently adding my father's land to your jurisdiction. Mara's smile twitched. Just for a second. Dana held up her phone. It's fake. The metadata shows it was scanned, not certified. No county seal. No commissioner's signature. And guess what? We've already sent copies to the sheriff, the recorder's office, and the state attorney general. Silence. The kind that makes your ears ring. Mara's mask cracked then. Just for a heartbeat. Her jaw tightened. Her knuckles whitened around her clipboard. You don't know who you're dealing with, she hissed. Dana didn't blink. Neither do you. The cameras caught every second. By the end of the week, the siege broke. The dumpsters were hauled away in the dead of night, like thieves covering their tracks. The letters stopped. The cameraman disappeared. And Mara? She vanished too. Word spread quickly, she'd resigned from the HOA, citing personal reasons. But the truth trickled out. Investigators had seized her files. Whispered rumors of fraud charges, even tax evasion. The queen had fallen. As for my cabin? Still standing. Still mine. The boathouse too, casting its reflection across the lake like nothing had ever happened. But everything had changed. Because when I sit on that porch now, coffee in hand, I don't just see the lake. I see the moment my family closed ranks around me. I see the night cameras blinking in the trees. I hear Dana's steady voice, don't talk. Don't move. Document everything. And I realize, this wasn't just a fight over land. It was a reminder that the strongest walls aren't made of wood or stone. They're made of people who refuse to let you fall. So if you've ever dealt with an HOA, if you've ever had that knock on your door, that letter in your mailbox, that threat thinly disguised as a community guideline. Remember this, they win by intimidation. By making you feel small. By making you think you're alone. But you're not. Because all it takes is one document, one phone call, one camera, one witness, and suddenly the truth shines brighter than all their lies. And when that happens, the bulldozers stop, the dumpsters vanish, and the predators scatter, leaving you exactly where you belong. Home.